Here at the Scouting Combine with Browns head coach Hue Jackson. Coach, welcome to Indianapolis.
Thank you for that. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and I got to ask you, this is now your third year coming here to the Combine. What's different for you this time around?
Well, I think what's different is we're really excited about the opportunity to change the fortunes of our organization. We got 6 of the top 65 picks in this draft. There's John Dorsey and Elliott Wolf and Alonzo Highsmith. There's Todd Haley. There's Adam Henry. So there's been a lot of good things that we've done. So there's a lot of excitement in our building right now.
Walk me through maybe the last month, because there have been some additions to the staff, which you talked about in terms of preparation for coming here to Indy, so you can really begin that deep dive into the evaluations.
Well, John Dorsey's done a great job of blending the personnel staff and the coaching staff together so we can truly understand the process of how we want to go about business in the future of acquiring players and putting them on our team. We watch the videotape extensively and make sure we understand the player before we ever come here. John has obviously a reputation of making sure that there's talented players on your team, so that within itself makes you feel really good. And then I think our coaches of talking about how we want to play offensively, defensively, and special teams, we've been able to share that with John. And so the mission is to go get the players that we feel will help us become a better football team.
And by becoming a better football team, you mean winning. And that's a word that we've heard in Berea, I think, a lot more in the last few months than maybe in the past couple of years as you were in that process of rebuilding and acquiring assets. Now the focus does seem to be winning. I'm sure as a coach that is refreshing for you. What has kind of been those discussions about winning and winning now in 2018?
Well, I think when you talk about those things, you have to really come up with a plan of what's that going to look like, and how do you get to that as fast as you can. That means, can you acquire a veteran quarterback to compete with a young DeShone Kizer? Do you acquire other skilled players on offense that can help the offense score more points? You look at defense. Can we acquire players on defense that can help us stop other teams from scoring points? Defensive corners, safety-type players. So I think all of that has been the conversation, and that's a lot different because now you're talking about really putting some very specific players on the team to make a huge impact to get to winning.
We're at the Combine, which is for the draft, but we know free agency is under 2 weeks away now. In fact, 2 weeks from today is when the official signing period can begin at 4 o'clock, but the tampering period, as they call it, 2 days before that. How excited are you for free agency going into this season?
Very, because it's another opportunity for us to get our team better. I think, obviously, we have to go do a great job of selling people to come to the Cleveland Browns and why. And I think we have a plan in place to do that. And as you said, it's just another opportunity for us to get better right before the draft starts. So here's another important part of the puzzle, free agency, because we can make a huge imprint on our football team.
Do you expect to be players on day one in free agency with maybe some big signings at least, or is that the goal going in?
I think the goal is, obviously if there's a player that we really like, if this first day is first day, we want to have impact players on our football team. And obviously I think the first day is when those players are normally sitting there. So we want to go do what we think is best. We want to be smart about it, but at the same time we want to improve.
All right, let's talk about coming into this offseason, the quarterback position. Let's start with a guy that produced 375 yards of total offense in his final start of the season on the road at Pittsburgh in DeShone Kizer. Have you talked to him this offseason? What's he doing to get better this offseason so he can come back and say, look, you may bring in a veteran, you may draft a guy #1 overall, but I'm still here, I'm 22, and I've got a lot of tools and talent.
No, you said it. I have talked to DeShone. He told me he took a boxing, which I thought was really, really different for him. He's going to do everything he can to put himself in position to be the starting quarterback here, and he should. The guy started a lot of games for us. He's a young football player. As I said a long time ago, you can't give up on young players. He's going to come back with the experience that he had from a year ago and be much better. I know he's going to spend some time in Southern California getting himself ready and prepared, and I'm looking forward to see a better version of him this season.
When you look at the veteran quarterback that you guys want to bring in, what's most important to you? Ability to win immediately, ability to be a mentor to now a 22-year-old and maybe another 21-year-old or 22-year-old that comes in the draft. What are the most important characteristics you're looking for? Somebody who wants to come in, start, and say, I'm the guy, or somebody who's willing to mentor, or maybe a blend?
I think it's a blend. I think you said it best. So we want a guy that can come in here and get us to winning as fast as we can and compete, but also mentor some young guys who are learning their way, like you said, we're going to put another young player at that position on our team. He's going to need to know how to make his way in the National Football League. What's a better teacher than somebody that's already been there? And then having DeShone compete that way, but also he's still in the learning stages of the National Football League as well. So we want a guy that can come in and win, but also a guy that will mentor those guys along the way.
In your 3 years, number 2 pick, number 1 pick, now number 1 pick. No quarterbacks the first 2 times around. 4 or 5 quarterbacks that a lot of people think could be worthy of that pick. Are you excited to have another opportunity to say, okay, and this time nobody can dictate anything to you about that quarterback that you select?
Absolutely. I am, because we got to go put our chip on a guy that we feel that can help us win. If that's what the organization, John, Dorsey, myself, feel like that's the best thing for us to do, that's what we're going to do. There are some guys out there that we think are worthy. We're going to find out more about them. That's what being here at the Combine is all about. Let's make sure we dig into all these guys that we think have an opportunity to be that pick and understand them and start to understand them as well as we can and get through that process so that we can make the best decision for us.
You guys have already had some veterans through the building this offseason, which is definitely a departure from the first 2 years when you were here. Is that something we can expect to see, adding a little bit of experience to go with this nice young core that you guys have built?
Yes, and I think that's what's important. I think we need to find some guys who are NFL ready, per se, that have played and understand the rigors of playing in this league, playing in our division, and understand what winning looks like and feels like, because let's be honest, we haven't done much of that.
Todd Haley, when you talked to him, you guys had great phone conversations that led you guys to say, okay, let's do this together. Now that you've been with him for a few weeks, how's his offense maybe going to look a little bit different than the offense we saw last year under you?
Well, I hope it gets to where we score a lot of points. No, it's that was a huge decision for me, and that was something for me because obviously I love doing that. But I felt like it was best for the organization for me to give that up and give it to somebody else. Because it's just time. It's time for the organization to make the next jump. I think Todd brings experience. He brings a know-how, to that position. I think we'll have an offense that our fans will be very excited about. It will have, some of it may look the same, but obviously it'd be a lot different too. And I think we're excited about the offense we can build. But I think as we build it, a lot of it's still going to come from who are we able to put on the team in free agency, who are we able to put on the team in the draft.
Coach, just take us behind the curtain, if you would, for a few minutes to help everybody understand what happens in these 15-minute meetings that you're able to have with prospects here. Now, obviously, there's going to be the 30 who come for the big visits, and you'll do private workouts. But here at the Combine, it is compressed. So what do you hope to glean? Is it something different for each prospect in the 15 minutes? And kind of how does it go down?
No, you said it. There's different things that we want to get from the prospects. We know we're going to get an opportunity to see them again if need be. But I think understanding the player and starting to begin a process with him. Some guys have medical issues we need to talk about. Some guys have off-the-field issues that we need to address quickly. Some guys we have all that information about, and we can really get in and dive into their family history and things that they've tried to accomplish and what they want to accomplish in the National Football League. So everybody's a little different, but 15 minutes doesn't give you an opportunity to find out a lot. So there's a lot of fast talking going on during that time.
It's kind of like speed dating, I
guess.
You got to get in there, find out what you want, and move on. I want to ask about having the number 4 pick as well, because that's something pretty nice. You can, if you decide to go quarterback at 1, you can still get one of the best players on either side of the ball at number 4. How important is it for you at number 4 to get a guy that not only will be an impact player, but maybe an impact guy in the locker room who can help kind of set the culture that you guys look to establish?
I think it's very important. I think you said it. I think hopefully we won't be picking this high again.
No more.
I think no more of this. I think these guys are cornerstone players. I think the player you take at 1, you want to be a Cleveland Brown for a long time. The player you get at 4, you want to be a Cleveland Brown for a long time, and they're contributing to winning. And I think that's what's most important. Those guys are premium players. That's what I say about the guys at those kind of spots. They're guys that are going to truly make an imprint on your organization.
And just last question, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the running back position. You talked about it earlier in your press conference. Saquon Barkley, a lot of people think an amazing talent. This is also a very deep class. You also have Duke Johnson. And you've seen in Cincinnati, you had success with a couple of second-rounders. You look back at Todd Haley with a second-rounder, Jamal Charles, a second-rounder, Le'Veon Bell. You go to John Dorsey, third-rounder, Kareem Hunt last year comes in, leads the league. How do you balance the desire to say, hey, this guy's so good, but also knowing that in the NFL, the Offensive Rookie of the Year, third-round pick, running back last year, that there is depth at that position, and people are regarding it as such a big class?
Well, I think it's a true process. You got to go and dig into that and make decisions about what you think is best to help you get to winning. There is going to be a lot of very talented players that are not, in the top 4 or 5 players drafted. There's going to be some really good players in the second round. What's going to really truly impact our football team and make a difference to get us to winning? I think those are the things that we really have to discuss as you make these decisions. There's no question that Barkley's a tremendous football player, and if we make a decision that he's best for us, then great. If we don't, I'm sure there's going to be another runner at some other time that we can put on our team that can have an impact for us.
Well, Coach, exciting to see so many options as we talked about here. You guys have a lot of directions that you can go. Good luck this week getting the information you and John Dorsey and company want to get, and good luck on the road to get this team winning, which is a good word, I think, for 2018.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Coach.